It's late afternoon, and the sun is leaving long shadows across the park. The trees are lit up in a golden glow. 16-year-old black boy named Marcus Carter sits on a bench by the pond and looks at his phone. The only sounds in the park are the birds chirping and the laughter of kids far away. It's a peaceful moment that he's grown to value in a world that often feels heavy. But today it's about. Marcus sees a woman walking quickly toward him out of the corner of his eye. The woman's blonde hair is pulled back tightly, and her face is pinched with focus. She stops just a few feet away, looks at him for a split second, and then looks away. I don't like how he looks. Marcus hears her words clearly, even though she barely says them. His heart races. He's been through this before, and he knows the kind of attention that comes with it. The wrong person with the wrong skin color in the wrong place. She doesn't know him or his story, but he can feel the weight of her gaze on him like a charge. Then out of the blue, she pulls out her phone and calls 911. Yes, I need the cops. A black teen has been acting strangely in the park for over an hour. I don't know what he's doing, but he's making me feel uneasy. Her voice is steady, but Marcus can hear it. The fear that makes her treat him like a threat just because of where he's sitting, his throat tightens. He never asked for this, he never wanted this. He just wanted a quiet moment to himself. But now the world around him changes. The calm is about to turn into something ugly. The sound of sirens grows louder in the distance. Getting closer, Marcus stands up, his phone still in his hand, the screen a blur of alerts. Alerts what's going to happen now. The question hits him like a punch to the gut. He knows how this goes, how these situations escalate. A simple call, a simple accusation, and then the world spins out of control. He takes a slow breath, his chest tightening. He's done everything right, he hasn't caused any trouble. Yet somehow here he is about to be handcuffed by a stranger who sees him as nothing more than a threat. But there's one thing Marcus doesn't know. Yet someone is about to change the game completely. Marcus doesn't fit the mold the world has carved for him, at least. That's what he's always been told. He's not the angry, rebellious kid that people think black teens in his neighborhood are. He's not a problem. He's not a statistic. He's a dreamer, a young man who wants something more than the expectations put on him. He wants to be seen for who he is, smart, creative, and driven. He wants to write, maybe even make movies. One day he wants to make a difference, but how can he do that when every move he makes is scrutinized, when a moment of peace can turn into a confrontation with the police just because of the color of his skin? Marcus sighs, running a hand through his hair. As the squad car pulls up to the curb, his chest tightens. He's been here before, but that doesn't make it any easier. The police car comes to a stop right in front of Marcus, the officer. Inside doesn't pause. He steps out of the vehicle, his hand resting near his holster. The woman, who called them, her face full of judgment and barely disguised suspicion, stands to the side, pointing at Marcus. This is him. She says, her voice sharp, her fingers shaking slightly. As she points straight at him, I don't know what he's doing here, but he's acting weird. The cop glances between Marcus and the woman, his eyes and are arrowing. He takes a step forward. You got ID on you. The officer's voice is calm, but there's an underlying tension in his tone. Marcus swallows hard, trying to stay calm. He knows how to handle himself, but this moment feels different, more dangerous. He pulls his ID from his wallet and hands it over. The officer scans it quickly, then looks back at Marcus. There's something cold in his gaze, something that tells Marcus this isn't just a misunderstanding, it's a setup. I'm going to need you to come with me, the officer says, reaching for Marcus's arm. Marcus doesn't move. His heart races, his hands shaking slightly. He wants to fight back, but he knows the rules. Don't resist, don't give them a reason to escalate. But his mind is spinning. He's just a kid. He hasn't done anything wrong. Is this really happening? He wonders to himself, his mind trying to catch up with the reality of the moment. The officer's grip tightens on his arm, and Marcus can feel the weight of every gaze in the park. People are watching now, whispering, but no one is stepping in. The woman who made the call stands at a distance, her expression smug, as if she knows the outcome already, but she doesn't see what's about to happen next. Just as the officer starts to pull Marcus toward the car, a voice rings out, excuse me, is there a problem here? The officer freezes. The woman looks up. Confused, Marcus looks up too, his eyes widening as he sees the woman approaching. It's Yvonne Carter, his mother. Her walk is measured, purposeful, and exudes a quiet yet undeniable authority. She's wearing a sharp suit, her FBI badge hanging from her waist. Her eyes lock onto the officer's, her gaze unwavering, sharp. As a blade, the officer's grip loosens on Marcus's arm. He knows her. Ah, Mom. Marcus breathes out shock, flooding his chest. Yvonne turns to the Woman, her voice low and controlled, but every word cuts through the air. Ma'am, did you just call the police on my son? The woman stammers, her eyes darting between Yvonne and the officer. I thought you thought. Yvonne's voice is icy. Now every word tinged with authority. You thought because he's black he was up to something, because he's sitting on a bench in broad daylight. He's automatically suspicious. The officer's face pales, and the woman is visibly flustered. The power in the situation has changed. It's no longer just a random encounter, it's personal. Yvonne steps closer, her eyes never leaving the woman's face. Next time you feel the urge to call the cops on someone based on nothing but the color of their skin, remember this moment. Because you just made a mistake, you won't forget. The woman's face flushes with embarrassment. She opens her mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. There's nothing she can say to justify what she's done. For a moment, Marcus stands frozen, a wave of relief flooding through him. But then reality sets in. What if this hadn't been his mom? What if it had been another kid with no one to come to their help? He feels a pang of guilt, a gnawing frustration that the world so often expects him to prove his worthiness. Yvonne's phone buzzes in her pocket. She pulls it out, eyes scanning the screen. For a moment, her expression hardens. We're done here. She turns to the officer, who stands stiffly. Take her report and leave now. With a last lingering look at the woman, and the officer nods and retreats toward his squad car. The woman, red-faced and defeated, watches in stunned silence. Marcus stands there, his heart racing. Yvonne wraps an arm around her son's shoulders, pulling him close. You okay? She asks softly, her voice no longer as sharp as before. It's a question that carries more weight than the world around them. Marcus nods, finally breathing. Yeah, thanks, Mom. As they walk back to their car, Marcus can't help but feel the shift. This wasn't just a moment of protection. It was a moment of revelation. His mother wasn't just his protector. She was a force of change, a warning that no one should have to fight alone. Next time we stay away from that park, okay, Yvonne says with a smile as